Hello there, welcome. I'm Jill, and today I've designed a yoga flow to help us relax and unwind. Maybe it's the end of the day or it's the middle of the day and you feel like you've been pulled in a million directions and you just need some time to center and ground and breathe and move your body. This is the perfect practice. You don't need any equipment. Make sure that you're wearing some cozy clothes, maybe even your pajamas. As a matter of fact, you could do this practice on your bed. You don't even need a mat. But if you have a mat and you'd like to use your mat, now's the time to grab your mat, change into those cozy clothes, and meet me back here. Friends, we're going to go ahead and get started in a cross-legged seat, easy seat, Sukhasana, and bring your hands to your lap, either your palms together in your lap or the back of your hands resting on your thighs. Take an inhale through your nose, slow and steady, filling up with air, and an open mouth exhale, empty out. Go ahead and bring your attention to the crown of your head, your forehead. If you're feeling tense, can you unfurrow your brow? Bring your attention to your mouth and your jaw. And just notice if you're clenching. Go ahead and bring your attention to the back of your neck. Your shoulders, let them fall away from your ears. Bring your attention to your hips. Can you let them melt into the mat just a little bit more? And bring your attention to your waist. Can you lengthen up and out of your hips a bit? Just begin to notice the parts of your body that are touching the mat, and how it feels to have the earth supporting underneath you or your bed supporting underneath you if that's where you're practicing. And let's take 2 more cleansing breaths together. A nice deep filling inhale through the nose, letting the body expand. And an open mouth exhale, sigh it out. Again, deeper, fuller inhale, bringing in even more breath than you did the 2 previous times. And a louder, longer open mouth exhale, let it go. And you can seal your lips closed if you practice Ujjayi breath. Create a slight constriction in the back of your throat and continue to take those slow, steady, filling inhales through your nose and powerful audible exhales through your nose. On your next inhale, go ahead and blink your eyes open and meet me in a child's pose. So from a kneeling position, bring your big toes together to touch if that feels good to you. Melt your hips back onto your heels, and then go ahead and walk your fingertips forward. Bring your forehead and the tip of your nose to the mat. Again, relax your shoulders down and back away from your ears, and just begin to breathe here. And if it feels better to you, you can bring your arms down by your side with your palms facing up, and you can always walk your knees in together to touch. On an inhale breath, just lift your forehead and thread your right arm underneath your left. So sink your hips back onto your heels and bring the right ear, right temple to the mat. And go ahead and think about that left underarm and guide it down towards the mat. Continuing those slow, steady inhales and the powerful exhales. And on your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head, re-extend your right arm. And as you exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right. You can stay tented up on those right fingers, or you can bring the palm of the hand down to the mat. Think about opening the upper back by guiding the right armpit down towards the mat. Shoulders and hips melt back towards your heels. And using this opportunity to let the day that's come so far, let it just be. Somewhere off the mat. It'll still be there when we come back to it. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and unthread. Exhale your hips back just a bit more. And then inhale, go ahead and come up to a neutral tabletop pose. So shoulders over wrists, hips under the knee, over the knees. And then take your hands out about a palm print distance from where they were. And we're going to come into some hip circles. So take an inhale here as you find length from your arms to your fingertips. And then exhale, right hip towards right heel, left hip towards left heel, and then inhale the hips forward, first towards the left wrist and then towards the right wrist. Moving in a way that feels good to you. Maybe that's really nice and slow and hanging out in any positions that you feel might just be a little bit stuck and need a little bit extra TLC. And the next time your hips come forward, we're going to pause. Then we're going to take it in the opposite direction. So exhale, left hip to left heel, right hip to right heel, and then right hip to right wrist, and left hip to left wrist. And again, if there's anywhere that feels stuck, just hang out there and guide your breath into that area of your body. Let's take one more circle here. And then come back forward, and let's come into a puppy dog pose. So walk your hands out. It's like a kneeling downward facing dog. And then bring your forehead to the mat, or if it's accessible, you can bring your chin to the mat. And then again, think about creating space in your upper back by drawing your shoulders away from each other, broadening them toward the wide edges of your back, and then dropping them down away from your ears. If it feels good, you can rock your forehead side to side here for a nice little massage for your third eye center, that center of intuition. And when you're ready, go ahead and come onto your elbows and then just walk your hands back toward your knees. And we're going to come into a kneeling seated position, so hero's pose. And if it's a lot to kneel, you can, if you have a pillow close by, you can bring it underneath you like this. It's a really nice stretch for our quadriceps when we kneel. If it's just too much and if it doesn't feel right in your body, you can come into a cross-legged seat. And take an inhale breath, circle sweep those arms overhead. And on an exhale breath, just pull something positive down to your heart center. Think about something from your day today or something from your day yesterday that made you smile, something that felt good. And think about that, and maybe it brings a smile back to your face. On an inhale breath, circle sweep those arms out, around, and up. And as you exhale, left fingertips find the mat, and we're going to stretch up and over with the right fingertips. So you can even bump that right hip over towards the right, stretching from the fingertips to the right hip. And then inhale, come back up through center. And as you exhale, right fingertips find the mat, and then lift up and out of your hips as you reach those left fingertips over towards the right. Snuggle that right shoulder down and back into its socket. Draw the left thumb back, opening up the front of the chest. And then inhale, come back through center. And you can flow exactly like that again, or you can bring your palms together, pointer fingers out, the rest of the fingers interlaced. Take an inhale breath, lengthen up and out of your waist. And as you exhale, fingertips over towards the left. You can almost use that left hand to guide the right hand over just a little bit more. And then inhale, come back through center, lift, and then exhale over towards the right. So again, fingertips come back to create some opening in the chest. And then imagine that there's a little string lifting your chest up towards the ceiling. Come back through center. And go ahead and bring both hands down to the mat, fingertips touching or the hands just reaching in the direction of the mat. Lengthen the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, left ear towards left shoulder, just creating a lot of length in the right side of the neck. And just breathing. On an inhale, very carefully bring your chin down towards your chest. And then as you exhale, no force, bringing that right ear towards the right shoulder. And your eyes can be open or closed here. And then chin to chest. Create some length along the back of your neck. And then inhale, bring your head back over your shoulders. I'm going to put the pillow off to the side. And we're going to come into an inner thigh stretch. It's almost like a kneeling skandasana. So keep your left knee underneath your left hip, and then extend your right foot or your right leg out long. And I like to have my right toes about in the same line as my left hip. And I'm going to sit my hips back onto that left heel, walk your fingertips forward, and then you can bring the right toes up, or you can keep the sole of the right foot flat on the mat. It just depends on what feels good to you. And then on an inhale breath, go ahead and come up, shoulders over wrists. And then exhale, sit your hips back onto the heel, and you can walk the hands forward. So this is quite a stretch for this inner right thigh. If you need to bend into the knee, you can bend into the knee. And like I said, if you want to play around with bringing the toes up, you can bring the toes up. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, come up, shoulders over wrists, and then exhale, sit back. And then this time, go ahead and walk the fingertips forward. And if it feels good to bring your forehead down to the mat, you can bring your forehead down to the mat. And then inhale, come back up. Bring your fingertips back underneath your shoulders. And we're going to bring our left hand out to the side underneath our left shoulder. Hug your tailbone under so that you feel this opening in the front of your hips here. Continue pressing through the right toes and reach the right fingertips all the way over to the left side of the room. You can think about that bicep being in line with the ear. And just like we did in that seated side body stretch, Think about bringing that right thumb back to spiral your chest up towards the ceiling. Breathe some space into the entire right side body. Press through the foot and reach through the fingertips. And on an exhale, we're going to swoop those right fingertips down in front of us. We're going to walk the right fingertips down the right leg as we guide the tailbone down towards the mat. And now reach the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And maybe you reach those left fingertips over towards the right. Thinking about creating some space in the front of the shoulders here, so the shoulder blades in this pose are snuggling down and back in towards one another. Should feel a really nice stretch down the left side body here. And then on an exhale, go ahead and just swoop those left fingertips down. Come back into a tabletop, maybe shimmy your hips from side to side if that feels good. And then go ahead and extend your left leg out to the side. I like to turn my toes in a little bit. You don't have to. You can have all those 5 left toes facing forward. In my body, it feels good to slightly have them turned in towards my right knee. And then on an exhale breath, go ahead and sit your hips back towards that right heel. Oh, feeling such a deep, good stretch. To me, it feels really good. If it doesn't feel good to you, bend into that left knee. And then again, maybe you bring the left toes up towards the ceiling like a modified Savasana. Come back up, shoulders over wrists. And then exhale, sit it back, walk the fingertips forward. Inhale, kind of pull those palms back underneath your shoulders. And then this time as we exhale, we're going to sit it back and hold it. So hip to the heel, walk the fingertips forward, bring your forehead down towards the mat, and think about broadening the upper back. So pulling the shoulders to the wide edges of your back, and then sinking them down into your armpits. Breathe your next inhale into that left inner thigh. And as you exhale, maybe you can release the back of your neck. Relax your shoulders. And then inhale, slowly come up. Walk the palms back underneath the shoulders. And we're going to bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder. Give a press into the left foot. Press the fronts of your hips forward. Find a slight hug in your buns to draw your tailbone down towards the mat. And then reach those left fingertips up towards the ceiling. And maybe you reach them over towards the right. So lengthening through the left fingertips, pressing into the left foot, and then spiraling your chest open towards the ceiling. And then exhale. Swoop the left hand over to the left leg. Lengthen the right side body as you reach those right fingertips up towards the ceiling and then over towards the left. Snuggle the shoulder blades down. Another little trick you can do here that I like to do sometimes to remind yourself to open in the front of your chest is to bring that right thumb to the front of the right shoulder. Guide it back and then extend the fingertips up to create that space. So really deep opening down the right side body here. I think next to child's pose, gate pose might be one of my favorites. They both are very grounding and just feel, they just feel like the ultimate surrender. And then go ahead and bring the hand back down. And we're going to come into a malasana or frog squat. So you're going to bring your left foot to the mat, right foot to the mat. And I like to have my heels in and my toes out. And my elbows pressing into my knees pressing back into the elbows. And sometimes it feels really good just to kind of move from side to side here. Just allow yourself to feel what feels good. You can bring your thumbs to heart center. If you'd like to take a twist, bring the right fingertips down to the ground, pressing the right tricep into the inner right knee, and then just bring those left fingertips up towards the ceiling. I don't know if you can hear Fiona, but she's snoring over there. Hopefully you're feeling pretty relaxed. And then go ahead and bring the left fingertips to the mat, pressing the outer left tricep into the inner left thigh. And again, snuggling the shoulder blades down and back into one another. And then bring the hand down to the mat. And now we're going to bring our knees down to the mat, and we're going to come into frog pose. So you're going to walk your knees wide. And I like to have my toes flexing back towards my knees. If you're like, no way, this just isn't right in my body, I have a solution. You can come onto your back in a happy baby pose. Otherwise, you can stay up on your palms here. Try to relax your shoulders, the back of your neck. You can come down onto your forearms. Again, thinking about no tension in the neck and the shoulders. If this is like you are just so tense and tight being in this frog pose, please come onto your back for that happy baby pose. And then the farther back you sit your hips, the deeper the stretch in the front of the hip flexors. And we do tend to hold so much tension in our hips. There are flight or fight muscles, and when there's so much going on and our minds are going 1,000,000 miles a minute and we feel like we're being pulled in every different direction, we tend to really tense up in our hips. And this allows us to open them when we breathe slowly. But if you notice that your breath is short and choppy, that's your body telling you you've gone too far. And we really do need to honor our body. We need to listen to the messages our body's sending us, because we don't want our body to shut down and then not be able to do any of it at all. And I know there are some of you out there who can bring your forehead down to the mat comfortably. I can't. That's where my breath starts to get short and choppy. So I'm going to hang out here in this sweet spot and just breathe some space into my hips, flexing the toes back towards my knees. Go ahead and come up to your palms. And very carefully, we're going to come into like a wide child's pose here. Bring your toes in towards one another. You can sit your hips back, or you can come up into a puppy dog pose. So again, hips over knees, walking the hands out in front of you. Maybe this time you bring your chin to the mat. And then go ahead and walk your hands back towards your knees. Come to sit on your bum. And then just slowly roll down onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest and just rock side to side. And if a happy baby feels good to you, go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together. Bring your fingertips to the outside edges of your feet, and then use your elbows to guide your knees open and just sway from side to side here. And if it's the end of the day and you're getting ready for bed, you can go ahead and bring your pillow underneath your head. Or if it's the middle of the day and you're going to take your Savasana and then you're going to continue out into your day. I hope that this movement, linking breath to movement, has helped to calm you enough that you now have the power to go out there and conquer everything that comes your way. And go ahead and hug yourself into a tight, tiny little ball and tense up as tight as you can. And then surrender into Savasana, allowing your heels to find the wide edges of your mat. Allow yourself to be and to take up space here. And hopefully when you step off of your mat, you can use your breath to create some space between reaction and response, to decide what is a get to do versus a have to do. And a lot of the times when we're having one of those days where it just feels like there's so much responsibility, a simple shift in perspective from and I have to do this to I get to do this can really change the whole course of the day, the whole course of the week. Friends, thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm going to leave us here in Savasana. If you have the gift of time, or if it is indeed bedtime, please stay here for as long as you'd like. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'll see you back here next Friday for another go.